going on, guys? Matt Weik here with Jimmy Mentis, another episode of Fit Business. What's good, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Another day, another dollar, as I said last time. I'm still working on that same dollar.
Eventually it'll come.
I'm trying.
But literally, we were chatting offline about a topic, and literally I'm like, Jimmy, stop talking. This is going to be today's topic.
Yeah, it's a great topic.
No, we had someone lined up who's going to come on the show. It fell through again. We'll get the person on hopefully sooner rather than later. But we don't have to talk about the specific brand that you tried or company that you tried. Right. But we started talking about meal prep businesses and how, different brands are launching their own line. How it fresh,
all started.
Frozen, delivery, whatever.
How it all started.
Yeah. So, I mean, you had a somewhat poor experience. You talked about it on
mean anything.
your IG story. But I think a lot of people are looking for the convenience factor of these meal prep services, whether it's a local service or a delivery where people are it's local or nationwide. I mean, you come from a restaurant background. You know food inside and out. What's on this whole meal, especially in our niche industry where a lot of competitors are looking for that convenience factor where they don't have to plan their meals. They don't have to sit down and figure out what to eat, when to eat it, go grocery shopping. What's your take on all of this?
I actually love it. Again, my personal experience is wasn't that good, and we don't need to discuss it. But that doesn't mean that it's still not a great idea or the companies out there aren't phenomenal. I absolutely love the idea. And think about it. How did meal prep start? How did someone start a meal prep business? And I'll tell you, from 15 years ago, I knew a trainer that needed to make some extra money, and he was prepping his clients' meals, maybe one or two a day, just giving it to them. Hey, while you're at work, here's some meals. And to me, that's how I remember that person started here in Florida. So meal prepping is a convenience. There's no excuse to fail in your nutrition plan.
Right.
It's healthy. You're always eating. You're not starving. I think, and again, I think it just evolved into huge business. Huge.
Yeah. I mean, I know locally, and you already said it, a lot of brands, and they're smaller brands. It's not, the big brands that we hear in the industry these days. It's just little,
right.
mom and pop, pop-ups that are, starting here. They work with the gym there. They deliver here. Maybe it's local. But everything was like made fresh, like the morning of. These people would wake up super early. They would go and they would make the meals that people ordered for the day, the week, or whatever. And then they would physically go to the gyms, drop off the meals, have them put in the refrigerator, sometimes freezer if somebody wasn't picking it up that day. And that's kind of how it started. And then people started saying, wow, okay, this is a good business model. It's making us good money. Let's expand. And then that's when they start shipping.
Right.
And I love the convenience factor of it. But we also spoke earlier how you're going to be paying for that convenience and for that premium where you don't have to physically make your meals anymore. And I think shipping is where things kind of get dicey and difficult because it's not an easy product to ship. It's got to stay cold or frozen.
Right.
And that adds, cost to the actual product itself. So, I mean, a lot of these brands are doing a fantastic job. I know when I've tried different meals, different, programs and services, it's dry ice or, heavily packed
it's expensive
with stuff. I mean, and it was legit. Like I never got a meal and said, "Oh man, I don't know if I should eat this." The packaging is kind of, sketchy. Everything was very professional, well done. Everything came frozen, whether it came from the the West Coast, you know, the Southeast, wherever the case may be, everything was done very professionally. And the food I thought tastes great. But again, it's that premium price that you're going to be paying for such a service. But
Go ahead. Did I interrupt you? Again?
No, it's okay.
Huh?
I had a thought and then it left me.
I'm seeing that all the meals are between $12 and $13. I mean, 10, 12 and 13. Between $10 and $13.
Uh-huh.
Right. So here's where I find it very hard for me, because I come from the restaurant background, and because I have two chefs in the family, you know, Chef Alex, my brother, and my dad, you know, I can't eat it. I can't eat it. I can't spend the $13 a meal when I can go to Costco and get, you know, 3 slabs of flank steak, throw it on the barbecue, and cook it. You know, throw a bag of baked potatoes in the oven, and throw it in Tupperware. We're good to go, right? But I do see where other people will pay the $10 to $13 because it's convenience. And if you really look at it, if you really look at it, you really put the time, put the electricity, put the time to go shop. Okay, you got a mother, she's got a husband, 3 kids. Her time to go to Publix or whatever grocery store you have, you know, close to you, that's an hour, no matter what. Just parking, going in, getting one thing and coming out, it's at least 45 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So that right there, then you got to drag your kids, or you got to run around. Then you got to go home and you got to cook it. Then you got to package it. Then you got to buy the Tupperware. You see what I'm saying? Then you got to wash it. So if you look at everything, $10 to $13, you might be paying maybe an extra $3 for a meal that you would have done by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's not your fresh meal. It's not something you prepared yourself. But if you look at the time, you look at the money, I don't think it's more than $3 extra that someone's paying to have a ready meal. I absolutely loved it. I got to tell you, the reason why Tammy and I decided to call on a company, and we actually went to the website and we ordered 16 meals just to try. She was against it. She was totally against it because she felt like, I'm here, I can cook it, you know. And I was like, honey, you know, we work, and you don't have to slave yourself at night, you know, just to cook. I said, let's figure this out. I mean, if you look at the money, and we ordered 16 meals. And let me tell you, I was like, yeah, this is good, right? I love the concept of the delivery of ready cooked meals. Loved it. But when I ate it, it wasn't what I expected. Again, that's me coming from the background that I have. But I was excited, okay? I was excited to have those meals in, that we didn't cook it, we didn't have to go hunt it down, it was like, I love that part of it. And I think that's also encouraging and motivating for others to actually spend time to go exercise, right? That hour a day that they're dedicating into prepping those meals, it's their hour they can go exercise.
I think it even goes one step further. I think it's the people who they know they should be exercising, and they do. I mean, any type of movement, any type of activity is going to burn calories. I think where a lot of people fall off the wagon is nutrition-wise. They're like, what do I eat? So I think from that standpoint, it's worth its weight in gold. I mean, if you can't cook, you know, or you just refuse to, but if you don't know what to eat, having a service like this where you can pick and choose
a wide
variety of stuff,
absolutely,
and know that, you know, it's prepared in a way that is going to fit your lifestyle and your needs, it's not cooked with all the oils and butters and all that stuff. It's primarily steamed. All the ingredients are purchased at that point fresh, made fresh, and then frozen to be delivered. But I think from that standpoint, it's a total win for the general public, mass media, to go out and utilize these services. Right. And I almost look at it as a stepping stone where if people don't know what to eat, have half of a brain, they can at least realize, okay, this is what the meal I had today. This is what I had later. This is what I have for tomorrow. In their head, they can go, okay, I can start preparing this. It's a grilled chicken breast, maybe it's asparagus or a sweet potato or this. So they start to understand what good nutrition looks like. If they decide to continue with the service, cool, more power to them. But I think it's a stepping stone and a step in the right direction to get them to live that healthy lifestyle that they've probably been looking for. And, I think more people should be looking at this type of service outside of our industry, the fitness and supplement side of the industry as a whole. It's not just for competitors. Right. And I think that's where a lot of people need to look to branch out and expand their marketing.
Yeah, I don't think it's the competitors anymore. I actually think it's just regular people with red blood cells. I mean, that's stupid. I just, it's normal people. I think they're doing these because there's so many businesses now that are food prepping, that I'm sure they're not making all their money off competitors. I think Carlo was one of the first ones.
Yeah, he was.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Here's some information.
Tell Siri to shut up. She's not on a podcast.
My iWatch just went crazy. She goes, here's some information. I'm like. In
case you wanted to know.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe Carlo was one of the first ones who started this.
Yeah. And I mean, he started in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a side hustle that he was doing. If memory serves me correct, Carlo used to have guys like Victor Martinez coming into his restaurant.
Yes.
And everybody would know Victor, know exactly what he would want. And I mean, Carlo always made fantastic meals anyways, but he always knew what Victor would want, how he would want it. And literally the only thing that Victor would have to do is sit down, and he already knew what was coming unless he decided to throw Carlo a curveball. But then that's where Carlo was kind of like, I can do this and it kind of started out with the competitors.
Right.
I can do this meal prep thing and give my friends, because that's what it was back then. It was just like a group of buddies, and he would work with them and do their meals.
Well, while you're saying Carlo, give him a shout out.
Hey, I use Carlo's stuff at the Chicken Pound. I mean, obviously Carlo had previous businesses. He has other businesses, but his meal prep is now, I don't want to butcher this. I think the actual meal prep is Elite Lifestyle Cuisine.com. Is that what it is?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, because I'm like, I know he had that one. Yeah. And the one that I really liked was the Chicken Pound.
The Chicken Pound.
And literally all he does is he just makes bulk chicken breast.
Yeah.
And it's cut up into little pieces.
Yeah.
Some of it, is seasoned. You can get it plain. And what I liked about that was I could then decide to choose what, carb and fat sources I wanted with it. I could just have the chicken. I could make my own rice. I could have a salad with chicken in it. But everything was fantastic that I tried. Right. So shout out to Carlo with the Chicken Pound and Elite Lifestyle Cuisine.
Yeah, he's a veteran in this business.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are looking to try something, I highly recommend anything that Carlo makes. He's a stand-up guy. He's a hustler. He knows his stuff. He has, the restaurant background. He knows the food industry like you and your family, Jimmy. And I really respect what he's done and accomplished. But I mean,
does your gym Well, you go downstairs to train. You don't even go to a gym anymore.
Nah.
So obviously your gym upstairs has a refrigerator full of food. All right, let's
Yes.
go. Let me. So the gyms that I used to go to didn't have food. Didn't have
Okay.
food in them. And I believe that every single meal prep company should go out and purchase some refrigerators or freezers and put them in the gyms.
I absolutely agree.
I think so.
And this was, I'm dating myself now, but probably 15 years ago, when I was in the gym atmosphere, working, training clients in the gym versus, in their home now, they would do that. And I can't think of the business that went into the gyms where I worked, but they had a big double door refrigerator.
Yep.
They had all of their marketing materials. It was branded in their company, and literally people would walk in,
Right.
say, "Hey, I'm here to pick up my meal." Open it up, find the packaging that has their name on it. They would grab it, and off they went.
Right. Some companies stick around, and obviously they stick around for obvious reasons. Why don't these other meal prep companies stick around? Where do you think they go wrong? Because a lot come and go.
Honest, it's for that a lot of brands and companies don't want to hear. It's price driven. I mean, we live in a society where everyone's trying to stretch their dollar just a little bit further, and I think people will look, and unfortunately, fast food has kind of established a sense of inexpensive food, even though
Right.
it's low quality. I mean, you hear dollar menus, $2, $3 menu now. And people look at that and they go, wow, $10 for this meal, or wow, $13 for this meal. I could go to Outback and for $10 get a steak and a sweet potato and have it made fresh and all of this stuff. And cool, you can, but it's more of a convenience factor of you don't have to go to that place. You just have it wherever you are. But I think it's really price that
Are you saying
driving
price
people
that?
away.
Let's just say you had your own food prepping company and I had my own, and you did the steak. The steak for $12 and I did the steak for $14. Are you talking about that I would go, I'm the one that's not going to make because I'm at $14, or because it's $12 and up for the customer?
I think it's because it's the $12 and
Right.
up. I mean, and again, we're not even talking about quality.
Yeah, but how come these other companies are still around? How come Carlo's still around? You see what I'm saying? Well, like what makes these companies come and go? For companies who stay around, for obvious reasons they're around, whatever that is, all right? But why does a food prepping company fail? For shitty food, number one.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
Okay.
definitely the first thing. I mean, if your food sucks, nobody's going to buy it again.
Okay.
I think it's overall variety too. I mean, listen, when you start out, having a wide variety of foods is expensive.
Yes.
Because if you're buying things in bulk,
Right.
things are going to spoil left and right if you don't have orders rolling in, which
Right.
means you're just going to be throwing money away. I mean, obviously, the smart thing would do, you eat the food.
Right.
But, still, you're going to end up taking a hit for the business. So if you don't have food that people are going to want, you're narrowing, the wide scope of people that you can actually go out and pitch. But I mean, I think it truly comes down to the food quality and the price.
Right.
If the quality's there, I think people will spend the money, and I think that's why people like Carlo stay in business. But I think it also helps with the customer experience. I mean, Carlo is a people person. He's very well spoken. I don't know anyone who talks bad about him. at least not that I have personally heard
Right.
or experienced. So I think that comes with the relationship that people have had too. I mean, right now we're talking about Carlo. Will that help his business? Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not. But if nobody was talking about Carlo and his
Right.
business,
Right.
would that help his business?
You-
No, it wouldn't. So
you
I
know,
think the relationship plays a role too.
so many times because of BeautyFit and Mile Labs and access to my brother and stuff like that, and warehouses that we have and kitchens, access to kitchens that we have. Do you know it never came to me to ever start a food prepping business?
Which actually surprises me based
Right.
off of your brother having,
Right.
the food truck and
why?
all this stuff. I'm like,
You know why?
I thought literally you had something and you just weren't telling people.
No. You know why? There's really no money. If you do it right, there's no money. So I believe, and I'm just shooting it out there, I believe every food prepping company is a side job, is an extension of something else. For example, MegaFit Meals. 2 Greek guys. They own gyms. How did they start MegaFit Meals? They brought food into the refrigerators in the gym, and they expanded. See what I'm saying? It's like they already have the gyms. I believe it's a side job, because when I mentioned it to my brother, he's like, "It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work." Between the spoiling of the food to get it going, okay? The prepping, the kitchen, just everything. It has to be like, if we did something, an extension of BeautyFit or Mile Labs or everything else, that would have been something. But I'm not going down that road now.
I think anything that is perishable, that has a short, lifespan, date on it, I think it's harder to make money in that, because you do have the spoilage, concern. But like we talked about in the beginning, shipping, especially if you have to do dry ice or frozen, it has to stay frozen, refrigerated trucks, man, that stuff gets expensive. So you're absolutely correct, at least in my opinion, from what you're saying, that the margins that you'll make off of the business are very small. If you're looking to expand in terms of outside of your local area, I think having it local is probably a great idea. But again, like you said, as a side hustle, as an extra income, especially if you own a gym and you're trying to find, that extra, revenue source, that extra stream of revenue every month, having that type of service would
what benefit. I would do. There's another company here local that Johnny Gomez, my training partner. Whenever he wants to come in to get beat up, he just comes and then leaves.
Was it Hellcat Johnny or something on social? Yeah.
We've been friends for 30 years, man. It's amazing. We have an amazing friendship. He gets fresh food delivered to his house 4:30 in the morning. Okay. 4:30 in the morning. By the way, he walks out of his house every morning at 4:30 to go train, and the food is sitting in front of his door. So, and I'm saying to myself, that's fresh food. The only way someone can do that, if they want to start a business, is go to a restaurant and say, "Hey, the kitchen's already here, the food's already here. Let's cut a deal." That's the only way I would see anybody trying to start a food service business.
Yeah.
Not build their own kitchen, not rent a kitchen, have a business, an establishment, a restaurant, and say, "Hey, let's do a menu. You already have the chicken, you already have the fish, you already have this, and let's, and it would probably, if they built a business, it would probably help on the food cost too. For the restaurant."
Right.
So again, there's a side job. There's the side. I don't understand if someone says, "Hey man, I got investors," because they came to me once and they're like, "Listen, I have investors. We want to do BeautyFit Foods and do like the South Beach type of thing and go with the Publix." Right.
Okay.
And I said, "It's interesting, but let's do the delivery first. And then once you do the delivery first, then you got some balls to go to a different distribution, a wider distribution, right? You learn first because there's a learning curve, no matter what. And they put down numbers, and it just didn't make any sense. And then my brother saw the numbers, and he's like, "What, are you kidding me?" He goes, "These aren't real numbers." He goes, "The food cost is over 35%. It ain't gonna work."
It's interesting that you said the start in a restaurant and have them work with you to create the meals. Up here, and I think they might actually be in Florida now. I know they expanded out to Texas and a few other locations. Whether people love them or hate them, an example that I like is shoot, the name literally just left me. Shoot, it's like a bodybuilder's dream restaurant in Jersey.
Muscle Maker.
Yes, Muscle Maker Grill.
Yeah,
oh my
God. They were down here. But they closed.
Really?
Yeah, there were like 4 or 5 of them, and they closed.
That's interesting. Because when Rod started that in Jersey, I used to go there anytime that I was in Jersey with my distributor, and we would eat there. The food was amazing, and it catered to people who they live the lifestyle. They want that healthy food. And it was literally like a meal prep delivery service, but a physical location.
Right.
And, then they started doing delivery and different plans and stuff like that and expanding. So I'm not sure how they're doing now. I lost touch with Rod.
They started franchises.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the people who got franchises had no clue about the restaurant business.
None.
Okay. So I don't know what they pitched them. They pitched them. They probably pitched them like, listen, you get someone to cook the meals on the grill, someone at the register, and you're good to go. And the owners thought that they wouldn't be clacking in. You're in the food business. It's the worst business to be in, because if the owner is not there, your business is failing. In any business, if the owner's not there, you're going to fail. But when it comes to the food business, and that's what happened. I had a buddy of mine. He was he listens to the show. He probably listens to this one too. I'm not going to name him, but he's a really good friend of mine. He was in the stock market business, and he was making some good money. So he pulled me aside and he goes, "Hey, I want to buy you lunch." This is 7, 8 years ago, even more. And he goes, "Where do you want to eat?" I said, "All right, let's go to Cheesecake Factory, right down the road here at Sawgrass Mall." We sat, and he goes, "I want to open a Muscle Maker Grill." I'm like, "You're out of your freaking mind." I said, he goes, "I don't want to do the desk job anymore." I'm like, "Do anything else but restaurant." Right? He goes, "Why?" I said, "You won't have a life. You won't have a life." Right? And Rick, if you're listening, that's as far as I'm going to go with the name. And so 6 months later, he calls me up. He goes, "Jimbo, I did it. I got a Muscle Maker Grill. Why don't you come and eat?" Right? So I don't know what happened. I got on the road those years. I was just traveling a lot. I never made it. I mean, he had UFC fighters there. Everybody was eating there. It was doing good and this and that. And calls me up and he goes, "Dude, oh my God." He goes, "I need to sell this. Do you know anybody?" Business wasn't that good, and he had no life. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. But again, he tried to do the meal prepping thing outside. It's just hard. The food business is very, very hard. You have to know the business. You have to know your food costs. You have to know how to order, where to buy your meat from, where to buy your chicken from, where to buy your lettuce from. My dad used to buy, when we had the Sea Haven in Weston, my dad would buy fish off the boat, not from companies. He would go down to Davie and wait for the charter boats to come in. And he'd be sitting there with a stack of hundreds. and we're talking about like fresh fish, right? About 3, 4 o'clock, they're coming in, and he would come with ice and fresh fish, and he goes, "Put this on the blackboard special. It's fresh."
Yeah.
Right? And they would go crazy, but that's how we did it. So you have to know the business, and talking about this, you have to know the food prep business. There's a lot of sodium in this food prep.
Very much so.
So where does that differ from the frozen foods that we get at Publix?
Right.
Okay. So why? Why is there a lot of sodium? Have you noticed a lot of companies use peppers and onions, to bring flavor? Why? If you have good meat and you cook it correctly, you don't need all that stuff. I wouldn't do it. If I had a food prepping business, I would cook the food, I would put a little salt and a little pepper and leave it alone. Then when it gets to you, the customer, then you can put it in the microwave and then put whatever else you want on it. Right? That's what I would do. And if someone's listening out there, take that advice, take that suggestion, because I got to tell you, every meal that I ate, I didn't eat all 16 of them. I was done at 7. Okay. Too much sodium. My stomach was on fire from the onions and all that kind of stuff. And I don't eat that stuff, so, but again, the industry, the concept is great. I encourage it. I think everybody needs to clean it up a little. If they could go to, I'd rather see them stay local.
Yeah.
Than freeze it and deliver.
Yeah, I agree. I think the way to go is plain meals.
Yes.
Plain chicken breast, grilled chicken breast, plain sweet potato, steamed vegetables.
That's it.
If you want to put your seasoning on, the way that you like it, cool. But like you said, I think that's another deterrent of why people aren't buying certain meals, because they look at it, they go, I love the chicken, I love the vegetables, I don't like the onions. And more times than not, those meal prep companies aren't going to be able to make adjustments. It's usually right there on the website.
Right.
Meals are shipped as shown. And because they just mass produce it.
Correct.
It's like a production line, out it goes. But it's interesting that you said about the frozen meals in like Publix or grocery stores. I wrote an article not too long ago about that very topic. And I tied it in with meal prep business, where I think the old school like TV dinners that were so unhealthy, but everybody ate because it was the idea of the convenience of having that Salisbury steak with the buttered corn and the mashed potatoes. That was the shit. If I would have been so fat if I would have kept eating that stuff. But that's my mentality of where this business could go.
Right.
I think we're going to see more places like Whole Foods, Publix, any grocery store chain. I think we're going to see a movement of more healthy frozen options. Yes, you have the Weight Watchers and all of these, healthy foods and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be a couple big companies to market the hell out of the healthy lifestyle movement, create plain meals that, maybe you have stuff on the side, but on the side, separate from the main meals that you can add on sauces, onions, whatever the case may be. But I think it'll be so much easier to have that type of convenience because people are going to the grocery store anyways.
Right.
I don't know if there's anybody who would buy a meal prep service for every single meal, never go to the grocery store. So you're not buying your literally, you don't go to the grocery store?
Here's the thing. I had told Tammy, if we do this meal prep thing, she ain't going into Publix again. Because if you're going into Publix, then there's no reason to do this.
Agreed. That's where I'm getting at.
Right? So if we're paying for meal prepping and you're still going to Publix, it doesn't make any sense.
So you would literally have to get your breakfast foods and your lunch, dinner type things. You have no snacks.
I don't do snacks anyway. Why would I do snacks? What am I, a kid?
No, but like you don't get like fresh vegetables that you can just eat at night instead of, or you literally just eat meals. That's it.
Vegetables at night, like carrot sticks? The fuck are you talking about?
Am I the only weirdo that would eat celery sticks or
what? You do?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hang up on you.
Oh, Matt got disconnected. You're breaking up.
You know what I do at night when I'm hungry?
Sleep.
Either I make a Beauty Whey shake or I make oatmeal, a cup of oatmeal with Beauty Whey in it, or I cook myself a freaking meal.
Where do you get your oatmeal from?
Or Tammy has some meals ready for me.
Where do you get your oatmeal from? What are you making your oatmeal in your backyard? You got to get it from somewhere, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, what I was going to say about the breakfast was, I'll go to Costco and I'll get 100 eggs.
Okay.
And I'll get 2 containers. Like my breakfast, I would have it ready because I can boil 15, 20 eggs, you know, and have them ready. And then sometimes what Tammy does, which I absolutely love, she makes me these little egg McMuffins.
I saw them. They look good.
They're so good. And sometimes I feel bad because, you know, we work a lot, man. We've expanded. We're working a lot. And she wakes up every morning so I can eat them fresh. I'm like, baby, just make 2 dozen and just put them in the freezer. She goes, they're going to go bad. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. You know? So, no, freaking carrot sticks? Come on, man.
But
there's no but
that's another thing that I think people end up stop using a service because they realize they're already going to the grocery store. Because if you think about the general public, they're drinking tea, they're drinking sodas, they're getting cereal, they're getting bagels and deli meat and stuff like that. They're already there. So for them, it's a toss-up. Do I get a meal prep service when I'm still going to the grocery store anyways? Or, you know, how can I make this work? So it's tough.
Yeah, and then you see at Fresh Market Whole Foods on Tuesdays, the chicken's $1.99, right? A pound or something like that?
Yeah.
So and you're like, well, $1.99 a pound, I get 5 pounds, that's 10 meals, you know? And basically that's 2 meals of prep, you know, prep food. So if you start doing the math like that, then, I mean, if you're going into a grocery store, I don't think there should be meal prep. I mean, you're just wasting your time. And then you look at the numbers, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. With anything, it's a numbers game.
Right.
So whether you value your time or your money more, depends on which direction you're going to go. But, you know, I would love to hear feedback from the people that are watching and listening. You know, do you use a meal prep service? Is it exclusive that you just use them? Are you going to the grocery store? Are you now thinking like, why am I doing that? You know, it kind of makes sense. Why am I spending the extra money for the convenience? But
when you're really not
inconveniencing myself by having to go to the grocery store anyways.
Right.
So, you know, we thought it would be a cool topic. You know, Jimmy started just talking about his experience and the food that he had. And I was just like, stop, let's talk about this. Cause it's a hot button right now in the industry. And I think the general public, if people who aren't in our world are watching this, it might make sense to do something like a meal prep service, or maybe we talked you out of considering it.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oops. But again, you know, we would love your feedback over on Facebook. Join our page. We have, you know, what is it? Over 500 people now that are something like that, who are just engaging. They're watching our content. It's a community of like-minded, you know, individuals who have that healthy lifestyle mentality. It's different cardiologists, doctors, pharmacists, actual bodybuilders, pro bodybuilders,
consultants.
You know, yeah, I mean, there's so many people that are part of the community over there that we would love to have you be a part of it. And, you know, by all means, help us out. And, you know, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Basically, it just lets YouTube and the algorithm know that, hey, people enjoy this content, which helps us get out in front of more people. We're not making any money off of this podcast. We're just trying to educate, bring value to your lives, help open up your eyes to different topics. Maybe you wanted to hear about the topic. Maybe you just wanted to be entertained. But either way, thank you guys for your time and your attention. You know, we appreciate you spending the last, 30 plus minutes with us. But with that being said, Jimmy, do you have anything else you want to add?
Peace.
See you guys. Hope to see you on the next episode.